Everywhere you look, the world is burning. Wars tearing families apart. Forests vanishing into ash. Poverty swallowing whole generations. Loneliness spreading into crowded cities. We built towers and machines. We split atoms, reached the stars. But inside, we are collapsing. We scroll, we consume, we pretend we are fine. Underneath it all, there's pain. I know it, because I carry it too. Grief that will never leave, failures that replay, anxiety that shakes me awake, fear that I'm not enough, depression that whispers, nothing will change. They told me this was happiness, to achieve, to love, to be somebody. But it feels like smoke in my hands. And yet, I kept hearing about this place, an ancient park just outside the holy city of Varanasi, one of the oldest living cities on earth, older than Rome, older than Athens. They say nearly 26 centuries ago, in this very park, the wheel of liberation was first set in motion. And I thought, if there was even a chance it could free a mind like mine, I had to go. And maybe you felt it too. That sense the world is breaking. And inside, you're breaking too. If so, this journey is for you as much as it is for me. This is Sarnath, located in northern India in the state of Uttar Pradesh, one of the 4 holiest sites in Buddhism. They call it the Deer Park. Once a sanctuary where no animal could be hunted. But in 528 BCE, this quiet ground became something far greater. It set the stage for a brand new revolution that would change the world forever. The Buddha had awakened under the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya, then traveled here, and for the first time, he chose to speak, to share what he had seen. His words are remembered as the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the first turning of the wheel of Dharma. This was the birth of Buddhism, not a religion of gods, but a path to liberation. A science of suffering and its end. For centuries after, Sarnath was a city of Dharma. Monasteries spread across these grounds. Thousands of monks lived and studied here. Pilgrims came from across India, from China, from Central Asia. Kings poured their wealth into stupas and temples. And at the heart of it all, stands the Dhamek Stupa, a colossal tower of brick and stone, nearly 45 meters high, its walls carved with lotus blossoms and vines, birds frozen in flight. It marks the exact spot where the Buddha's first sermon was given. And still, the Dharma breathes. Just beyond these ruins stands the Mulagandakoti Vihara, the primary Lankan temple. Built in the 20th century by the Mahabodhi Society, every day pilgrims chant there, proof that even after centuries of destruction, the flame of awakening refuses to die. What was spoken here nearly 26 centuries ago is what we'll now follow: the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, and the birth of the Sangha, the very first community of seekers who carried the Dharma across time and continents to us. The Dhamek Stupa rises above the plain, first built in the Gupta age, later crowned with the Mughal tower. It has stood for centuries as a marker of memory, but long before bricks and stones, this was the place where doubt and awakening collided. The Buddha came back here to the 5 ascetics who had once followed him, men who turned away when he abandoned the path of torment. Now he returned, awakened. Do not greet him. He betrayed the holy struggle. He abandoned the vow. Look at him, the prince who gave up the fight. He eats rice and milk like a child. This is no teacher. He starved with him, and he turned away. His words are empty. We remain pure. We remain unbroken. He has fallen back into comfort. He failed once. Why should we follow him? Again, you call me the one who turned back, but I tell you, I have gone beyond. Torment does not end suffering. Indulgence does not end suffering. I am awakened. I have seen suffering for what it is. I have seen its cause. I have seen its end. There is a middle way, a path that walks between extremes, a path that leads beyond birth and death. I have walked it. I have found the end of craving. I have found liberation. He is not the man we left. There is a light in him. His words cut deeper than before. He shines with truth. Then listen. Not because I was once your companion, not because I was once a prince. Listen because these are truths that stand on their own. As gold is tested in fire, so must these words be tested in your own mind. If you do, you will see as I have seen. Here, doubt cracked open. The Buddha declared awakening, and for the first time, the end of suffering was spoken aloud. This was the beginning of the first sermon, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the turning of the wheel of Dharma. And from this ground, the cure began to spread. From 5 companions to thousands to millions, across centuries, across continents, until it reaches us. This is the Dhamek Stupa, built first by Emperor Ashoka in the 3rd century BCE to mark the exact spot where the Buddha gave his first sermon. Later, enlarged in the Gupta age, it now towers 45 meters high, nearly 100 feet across. Its stone walls carved with lotus blossoms, vines, and geese, symbols of purity and release. Inscriptions in the ancient Brahmi script still run across its face. Ashoka, the king who once ruled by conquest, became the king who carried the Dharma. Without him, the Buddha's words might have never survived. His story we will follow later. But here, at Sarnath, he raised this beacon so the first sermon would never be forgotten.
Just imagine living a life full of suffering, pain, and you're sitting out here in Deer Park, and this man just expresses a concept that ultimately is a roadmap on how to free yourself of suffering. Right here, right here.
Not as a poet, not as a priest, but as a scientist of the mind, observing reality with silence, breath, and attention. Modern science is proving what he discovered without instruments, that attention changes the brain, that compassion reshapes our lives. He was experimenting with the only lab we all carry, the mind itself. And what he found was suffering laid bare. Here, the Buddha revealed the middle way, neither self-torture nor indulgence, but balance. And then he gave humanity its first cure for suffering, the Four Noble Truths. The first truth, the dukkha, the noble truth of suffering, birth, aging, sickness, death, even joy fades, even love carries the seed of loss. I know this truth already, in my grief, in my failures, in my fear. The Buddha was naming what every one of us feels. To live is to face dukkha, the unsatisfying, the unstable, the painful. The second truth, samudaya, the noble truth of the origin of suffering. It is craving, the thirst for more, the permanence for control. I saw it in myself, wanting the past to return, fearing the future, never resting in the present. Craving binds us to the wheel, chasing shadows that dissolve in our hands. The third truth, nirodha, the noble truth of the cessation of suffering. If suffering has a cause, it can also end. To say this was to say the fire in every heart could be stilled. That freedom was not a dream, but a human possibility. Nirvana, the blowing out of craving, the stillness beyond fear and desire. Freedom is possible. The fourth noble truth, Maka, the noble truth of the path of leading to the end of suffering. Not by chance, not by prayer, but by training in right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. This is the Eightfold Path, the way to walk free. In that moment, the world changed. One of the five ascetics, Kundanya, understood. The texts say that the Dhamma eye opened within him. He saw that all conditioned things are impermanent. His eyes lit with knowing, not faith, but truth. From doubt came the first disciple. From 5 companions came the Sangha, the first community to carry the Dharma forward. From 5 seekers in Deer Park, the Sangha was born, the first community of the awakened. What began with 5 monks became a living institution, preserving, memorizing, reciting. For centuries, the Sangha was the axle of the Dharma wheel. Monasteries rose here in Sarnath, and tradition says 12,000 monks once walked these grounds. But empires rise and empires fall. Invaders came. The monasteries were burned. The monks scattered. The wheel of Dharma slowed. Now when I walk among these ruins, I hear the silence, broken stones, empty halls, the echo of what once was. And I wonder, what if the silence had lasted? What if the wheel had stopped turning? It might have ended there, but history turned on the remorse of a king. Ashoka, once a conqueror, was broken by the suffering of war. He laid down the sword and turned instead to the Dharma. He carved his repentance into stone, edicts commanding compassion, wells dug, trees planted, hospitals built. He crowned his pillars with lions and the Dharma wheel. That same wheel now flies on India's flag, carved into its courts, a symbol of justice and truth. And he sent monks beyond India, to Sri Lanka, to Gandhara, to Kashmir, even to the Greek kingdoms. Without Ashoka, Buddhism might have remained a sect. With him, it became a tradition that crossed continents. But even Ashoka could not shield the Dharma from time. For nearly 1,000 years, India's Buddhist sites were abandoned. By the 19th century, Sarnath was ruins, buried in the earth. The wheel had almost stopped. And then, a single voice called it back. Anagarika Dharmapala, born in Sri Lanka in 1864, founded the Mahabodhi Society in 1891. He was not a monk, not a king, but he lived as both, a layman in robes, a reformer with the fire of a prophet. He declared India must awaken to her own Buddha again. He carried the Dharma to the world stage, the Parliament of Religions in Chicago in 1893, and he fought colonial courts for decades to restore Buddhist care of the sacred sites. In 1931, he built the Mulagandakoti Vihara here in Sarnath, its walls painted by Japanese master Kyotsu Nozu, its halls alive with chanting pilgrims once more. Ashoka turned from blood to compassion. Dharmapala stood against empire. Two men, centuries apart, both proving the Dharma survives through those who dare to protect it. And I think, if what began here could spread to kings, reformers, continents, and centuries, maybe it could spread into us too. The wheel is not locked in stone. It turns every time someone chooses compassion over cruelty, mindfulness over distraction, wisdom over ignorance. The question is not whether the wheel turns. The question is, will we walk with it? I began this journey in a world on fire. A fire of war, noise, confusion, and need. I thought peace meant escaping the flames, but standing here, in the place where the Buddha first spoke, I see the truth. The fire was never just outside. It was the restlessness within us. The mind forever reaching for what it cannot hold. The Buddha didn't silence the world. He saw it clearly, burning, changing, alive. He thought that suffering isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of wisdom. When we see pain without turning away, it becomes the doorway to compassion. I came to understand that the path isn't about leaving life behind. It's about returning to it with open eyes, to walk awake inside the same world that once burned us, to see light where there was smoke, to love even when everything fades. History moves in circles, monks and kings, ashes and revival. But what survives isn't the temples or stones. It's this, the human heart, learning again and again to begin. And maybe that's what awakening really is. Not a miracle that lifts us away, but the simple act of stopping long enough to see, to feel this breath, to let the noise fall away until only life remains, clear and silent. So when the world feels heavy, when the fire rises again, don't run. Be still. Listen. There is peace beneath all of it, not born of escape, but of seeing truly. And when you touch that stillness, you'll know the world was never burning. It was awakening.